to another episode of Mita Unshackled. And today we have an absolutely fascinating conversation with members of the cannabis community, the cannabis industry. And it's a story to be told. There's good, there's bad, and there's nothing but beautiful. But we're going to go through the whole thing. I'm pleased to be joined by my guests today. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Dimitri. My name is John Udell. I'm the state director of Arizona Normal and licensed cannabis attorney here in Arizona.
Alicia?
Hi, and I am Alicia Deals, founder of Life Changers.
Hi, I'm Ethan Telfair, a cannabis entrepreneur.
So I've had the pleasure of knowing them for a while now, and Alicia is one of the original social equity license holders in the state of Arizona. And I just got wind of everything that's happened with your father and with your family. And so we're going to dive into that, which is quite a journey. And it's very important that people know what is going on in regards to people who are still suffering the ills of a drug war that should have never been. And that's the main story that we want to talk to you about today. But we also want to, ironically, congratulate you about your success in the cannabis industry. So there's like some really good and some really bad. And congratulate you on your grand opening that's coming soon, and talk about the negative aspects of things that are impacting your life. So this is going to be an emotional one. This is going to be interesting. And we're going to enjoy sharing your story with the broader community out there. But let's start with you. Who are you, and where did you come from, and how did you get involved in the cannabis industry?
All right. Well, thank you so much,
John will be right back.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for having me. As I said, I'm Alicia Deals. I am one of the very fortunate winners in the latest round of social equity licensing here in Arizona. I am a Phoenician, born and raised here in Arizona. Very proud of it. Yes. And I have I started this wonderful journey in cannabis about 2 years ago. As I tell people, my stint with cannabis started a lot longer ago. As he shared, my father was essentially given 18 years based on a marijuana violation, and it brought us here. As I tell people in this journey, cannabis was our family's biggest burden, and now it births our biggest blessing.
What year was that? Like 2006? Your father was
2011. He was sentenced in 2011.
2011. So your father, wow.
Yeah.
That's just incredible. And I hear so many stories, and we get to share them with the public out there of people. But let's dive first. Let's start with the good. Let's start with the good, because yes, the social equity license has been issued. Yes, you were awarded one, and you finally found a home, and business is about to happen.
Well, business as well. I have found some partners. Well, first and foremost, people that are values aligned. And luckily, with the grace of time, also our business interests did as well. And so, yeah, I have found a home. And we are very lucky to also now be hosting and be the first retail branch for cookies here in the Valley. Very excited about that. So June 17th is our launch date.
June 17th.
Yes.
Is there going to be a grand opening?
That's the plan. Probably a soft launch at first, and
Okay.
then do a big grand opening.
So we is that John coming back in? We saved the legal stuff for John. So we saved the good legal stuff and stuff for the attorney and for normal here. But right now we're talking business. So June 17th should be like a soft opening. So sometime in June, there's going to be a grand opening. And where's the location going to be?
It's in Tempe, 2715 South Hardy Drive.
2715.
Yeah,
so
Nirvana is the Nirvana Center currently.
It's currently Nirvana Center, but it's switching over to social equity with you as a partner. Yep. That's a great idea. I love the model, and congratulations on the partnership there. How do people find out about the grand opening date? Is there a website or an email, or they can reach out to you directly?
Yeah, all of that. But on Cookie's website for sure, they'll have an opening day, and Nirvana websites as well.
And rumor is Berner might be out here. Is that possibly?
That's the plan. So we'll do a soft launch first. We'll make sure we have all the production done for the products, and then we'll get Berner and his whole team out here.
Wow, this is a really, really good. This is a good, and it's not the ending.
It's the beginning.
It's because it's the beginning.
Right.
But it's all tied into what happened to your family 18 years ago, 2011. How did your father get arrested for marijuana? And you want to talk a little bit about the details as to what that happened and how old you were and how you found out and all that stuff?
Yeah, sure. So, ironically, about 11 years ago or so, he was arrested for marijuana. Essentially, in the arrest, he attempted to flee. An officer was simply stated that he was afraid. Someone's hand was struck. Essentially, in all things, we don't defer any fault or say he was completely innocent, but he's a good man, right? And when it all really boils down to it, they had some cannabis, and he fled, and he got 18 years.
So, but my understanding, this was it's like a cannabis undercover kind of sting, a transaction, a business deal in cannabis gone wrong. Your dad got scared, or for whatever reasons, he fled, and then he was arrested, and there was some tussle in there. But none of this would have happened had there not been the prohibition that existed back then. None of this would have happened.
No, fruit of a poison tree, if you would. It all snowballed and
Well, he won't, because he's a lawyer. He's like, that's not the fruit of poisonous tree. That's technically something else. What is it's like domino effect? I don't know. But what happened? It was like a couple pounds.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Friends of his were purchasing from some undercovers, reasonable amount of pounds, and then it went to, as you say, him fleeing and the assault, right? But is he knowingly and willingly intended no one any harm, right?
Right.
There was no blood drawn, no one's hurt, no one's mangled in any facet, right? And his co-defendants, everyone else is home and has been home for quite some time, and he's still there.
How many co-defendants were there?
There was a reasonable amount of people, maybe like 10 people. There were a lot of people in the house.
Oh, so it was a house full of people. There was some marijuana involved. The cops showed up. There was a transaction, and then some people probably got picked up for some parole violations and other things happened as well.
Right.
But it would all stem from the marijuana activity, which is the key here because, for example, in the world we live in today, people are transacting not tons, but maybe hundreds of pounds of marijuana all over the place, buying and selling them legally under state law, under 40 states, 20 states, if you just adult use. And no one is going to jail for that. And no one is having associated things that they might be involved in, get, charged with because it's legal. And you're about to open up a dispensary and deal with a whole lot more product than your dad ever saw, and yet he's still in jail today. Exactly.
It's very hard to stomach. It's hard to stomach that. He's still there, and it's going across the country. Our nation is expanding in this facet daily, but he's still there.
It's confusing.
It is confusing. I think it really highlights one of the fundamental injustices that we're still grappling with in the wake of Proposition 207. Of course, for many years, some people were selling cannabis, finding themselves in jail, having their lives in many ways ruined. Well, for the last decade prior to Proposition 207, other people were making millions of dollars for really doing the exact same thing, not doing it anymore, any kind of a different effect for society. So, of course, there were things in Proposition 207 that folks advocated for. Michael Weiser, I know, very friendly with you, Dimitri, and others in the room, fought for three things: social equity, expungement, and home grow. And under no circumstances was my organization going to support Proposition 207 without those things. But I think this is a story that really illustrates that we need to do a lot more. It's fundamentally unjust that there are, your father is still serving time, someone who's a veteran and served our country for many years, still serving time for doing the same thing that folks are becoming millionaires off of right now. And it's great that we're getting, some kind of justice insofar as you have a license to do that thing, but it's certainly it's lacking, and I think we need to be doing more to make sure there aren't people like your father or anyone else in Arizona that are still doing time for those kind of offenses.
I think it's more compensation than it is justice, but yeah. I mean, it is it must be a weird feeling for you. I assume you're putting some of that money aside to work for his attorneys and his release.
Yes,
I mean, you're here right now,
absolutely.
obviously publicizing the case, which is what we were told about. So it's cool. I brought up the dispensary stuff, so because it's
It all
a good
ties
thing.
in.
But you are focused on helping him, and how is that going? What's going to happen next?
So right now, the next court date, like I said, is May 30th. So the post-conviction relief petition will be heard. Then we basically wait for a judge to review. It goes to another response, and then it'll finally be decided on. So we're just peeling back the layers of something that should have never been in the first place. But we're diligently working to get him home. And it's almost a surreal feeling, but I have to take burdens into blessings, right? It's hard to stomach that our family and many, many others are making a lifestyle and a living out of this, and there are people still suffering. There's too many, and coming through this, as hard as it is, and how bad our story is, it made me know that there are many more. There's so many more people with similar situations and even worse than ours, which has given me the reason in this. We are forming Life Changers Law Firm. We just want to help. We want to help change lives. I know if one good attorney had did something for us then, had did the right thing, I don't think we'd be in this situation to this severity. So nobody deserves what my family's been through.
And the post-conviction relief process, timing on that, how does that work? It's just, so right now it's a superior. I mean, you probably know this as well, but I mean, we could start.
It can be quite a lengthy process. It has been a lengthy process for us. My dad's been fighting diligently since the beginning. He never gave up since the day he was sentenced. He's been working on appeals. So it's been a very long process for us. It was some newly discovered evidence that even got us back in court. With his case being so old, it's a miracle in and of itself that we've even made it back to court at this point. And here now, it's still steps to go through.
So this post-conviction relief is about new evidence. It's not just about the general injustice of what the hell's going on.
You would think, right, and hope so. And as I've said before, just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right. Like, how do you not give him almost 2 years of back time? It's just not right. But yeah, this is.
So we're going to send this to Governor Hobbs. Could she issue a pardon?
I'm not sure about that. I do know the Attorney General can do more for expungement, but I'm not sure what the governor's powers are with respect to pardons.
Yeah, I don't know what that authority is, but it just seems kind of weird that, hey, social equity applicant who was issued a license, who are now encouraging to do this in the state under my executive authority, has father who would not be in jail but for the fruit of the poisonous tree, we'll use that in a non-legal way, activity that happened during this one transaction, and I'm overseeing all the law and order in the state of Arizona. I'm Governor Hobbs. I don't know if she has the authority to do that, but somebody up there should be addressed. They do.
Somebody got to have that authority.
So, and if they don't have the authority, there needs to be a law that gives them the authority to say, this is justice. I'm waiting for them to give me that power. This is justice.
Me too, Dimitri.
Way more magical. I think it's coming. A little more yoga and I'll have it. But I did bring my father's machete because we're talking about social justice. My grandfather. I don't bring this out for many people. But yeah, so the post-conviction relief is for evidence-based thing. So they found some evidence?
Yeah, it was some factors that gave us the opportunity to get back in court. And we're anything to get the door open, right? It's wrong, and it's hard to get them to take a second look, especially if you signed a plea. And as I said, he was bullied into the plea. They told us, if you take it to trial, he's going to get over 2 decades, right? And we're like, there's no way, that's so wrong. But we're scared. You don't know. You don't have an attorney fighting for you. Everybody in the courtroom is saying something horrible to you. But then essentially he signed the plea, and then they gave him almost mirrored the time they threatened us with at trial. And essentially you would have never got 12 jurors to concur that was aggravated assault, right? So
can you file a post-conviction relief for the general, injustice of the situation. And I mean, the reason, and yes, and then the Superior Court could deny it, but then you can appeal that and appeal it to the Supreme Court. And, you know, I mean, I don't know if you can do that. I mean,
It's been
Yeah, I'll speak to that. I'll say I'm not an expert in criminal law and in pardons in general, but to my knowledge, I don't think there's any kind of broad statute that would provide courts to just decide that I think it's just to release this person and therefore I'm going to do it. Not saying there shouldn't be, but I'm not aware of anything to that on the books right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. Right now, I mean, now that and folks, he's going to be running a dispensary, so you know the system out there, the people that are making the decisions, you're going to have some money to litigate. You know, and these things cost. And this is one of the unfortunate realities is that it's nice that you're able to, and it's great that you're doing this because it's nice that you're able to finance the legal claims that now need to come forward now that it's finally opening. Although I'm sure it's been a lot of money going out the door on your way towards opening, but now you can actually fight the system, and hopefully there'll be a good result. But also in the future you can help other people.
exactly.
But what's next time wise? So say this fails, the post conviction relief, Superior Court, then I guess you could appeal and all that kind of stuff and file new ones. With my broad, social equity, social justice claim, I'm not sure what the hell that is, but why not ask? What's next for him time wise if this fails?
Yeah, it goes to the unthinkable factor of him doing about 8 to 10 more years. If this doesn't go through, he would have to finish this day per day sentence, something that we just can't accept in any way, and why we are using this divine opportunity and platform to raise awareness for his case, as well as help anyone else in the future with Life Changers Law Firm.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just think this is really a great just demonstration of some of the good things that can come out of the social equity program in Arizona, that we're getting money into the hands of people who can do the things that you're talking about and has the motivation to do those things because they've lived the personal story. And I think so much of this case, too, is really just crying out to be told. It seems like over the last few years, there's just a story every few months about, a person of color who is confronted by police in a not pleasant kind of manner, and then does what their instincts compel them to do, which is to run. I think it's a natural response to have, and I'm just happy that we're able to have these discussions and that this story really is being told, similar to what you were saying.
And this some Superior Court judge is going to make a decision here, and then there's a process of appealing that or not. But if he is just set to do 8 to 10 more years. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you could work with Normal, and maybe that they could introduce a law to the legislature in January. There might be some sort of activity there. Just an idea. I mean, I'm hoping it gets granted, but it's a new evidence claim. It's not entirely, I don't know the new evidence, but to me, the whole social injustice of this whole situation is just black and white.
Exactly.
What is the new evidence?
I don't really want to get into
it's
the
just
detail
something.
of it. Yeah, it's just something minute enough to get our foot back in the door.
Right.
And as you say, it should be common sense, right? And it is. But in this system, especially as a person of color, often the true facts and right and wrong just doesn't matter. If they can legally do it to you, they will. This amount of time it's absurd, right? But if they can legally punish you for that amount of time, they will. And we're unfortunately dealing with it.
And your legal team, you got a good legal team now working on this?
I do. I'm very grateful for whom we found. They have more than the skill set. They have the heart, mind, and desire for true justice. Okay. And that's really what it boils down to. The previous attorneys we had, I don't think they lack the skill set. They lack the true motive and intention for true justice. Once you're in the system, they just see you as guilty no matter what. It's more of guilty until proven innocent, more than innocent until proven guilty.
Well, if you lose the post-conviction relief, which I hope you don't, but those things are kind of tricky, then maybe we can work with your lawyer to get the message out. Maybe he can come up with some sort of broad social justice post-conviction release. I mean, I say it half jokingly, but it makes a lot of sense. And if that right doesn't exist somehow, the governor has to have a right to do something to pardon people.
Pardon power is pretty common. Yeah, most governors have wielded that, I would say, to a pretty large effect in other states.
Yeah, some political pressure can be put there, etc.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point you made, Dimitri, too, if this doesn't end successfully in the next few weeks, is to try to go back to the legislature. And I think that's something that we really ought to be doing, or looking at ways to expand our marijuana expungement laws, number one. And number two, also to hopefully prod the Attorney General to do a little bit more to proactively expunge cases where people aren't coming forward themselves. I know our organization has done about 65, approaching 70 expungement clinics at this point, and have had a lot of conversations with people who do qualify, but also, unfortunately, a lot of conversations with people who don't qualify. And some of those cases involve, large amounts of weight, but I have no doubt that those are nonviolent, peaceful people that are just trying to put food on the table for their family. So definitely, there's a lot more that we can and should be doing, and I think it's important for us to not lose sight of restorative justice while everyone and many people in the industry are focused on the economics of it. But,
right.
Yeah.
And let's not kid ourselves. I mean, Normal does some great work. You guys, every single person should help give a donation to Normal for what they do. You guys always do a really good job, and they always do the right thing. But on top of that, millions of dollars are being spent on lobbying in this industry. And those lobbyists could quickly be directed to say, hey, as you're asking for what you ask for, which you have the right to ask for regardless of whether you think it's right or wrong, they have the right to ask for what they ask for, the lobbyists do. But millions of dollars are being spent by this industry to lobby for economic interests, to ask them, hey, by the way, there's some other social justice avenues. By the way, I'm a partner, I'm a member, I'm a dispensary owner, I'm contributing to the lobbying, and I would like a little percentage of the time directed towards doing a little something to change the law so that my father can get out of jail for a marijuana-related thing that should have never led him to be in jail.
Right.
I would push. I would go.
Yeah. And I would add there has been some bipartisan interest in record sealing and restorative justice. Unfortunately, though, there was a new law that took effect just the beginning of this January that allowed for the sealing of a broader category of records, not just those marijuana offenses, but puzzlingly, there was an exception for drug offenses. There are a lot of cases that can be sealed, but they passed on the opportunity, this would have been last year, to expand expungement for marijuana. So I think that's a conversation that needs to happen. And there has been some bipartisan interest in the past, and hopefully there continues to be some down there.
What's your dad make of all this? You guys...
I can only imagine the surrealness for him also. Someone else asked me, well, how did you feel when you won? Relieved. It's a relief. It just shows that, no, Dad, this isn't right. You know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to be there. Because as we know, the program of itself is a lottery, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like it's a gamble. You got to win, right? But I'm telling him, like, no, Dad, this program is for us. It's for people like us. The true intention and motive behind this program embodies us in every way. And we're going to go for it, and we're going to win. And by the grace of God, we won in the most grandest fashion.
Yeah.
The details of my story, there's really nothing anyone can tell me that this isn't a divine opportunity to bring change in a lot of different ways.
And could you share some of those details? Because I've heard your story before. I'm privileged to know you on a personal level. And it's just astonishing, like the angel numbers and all of that. If you haven't shared that, maybe the viewers would find that interesting.
Sure. As I said, he was my motivation for it. Essentially, when we won and began this process, he was in the 11th year of the prison sentence. We formed Life Changers on 11/11/21. We were pulled as number 11. In the middle of our application number, it's an alphanumerical code. 11 is in the very middle of that code. So again, as I say, with the details, there's nothing anyone can tell me that this isn't a divine opportunity to bring change, and as we will, for our family and many others.
It's an incredible story.
And our producers over there are clapping. So tell me this, the conviction, and I know you had different family members or different things related to marijuana in your life. Was this the charge that was tied to the application?
No, it didn't qualify.
It didn't qualify, right?
Right.
There was something else connected to your reality.
Yes, exactly. A
Okay.
smaller marijuana charge that was expungible through 207. Another blessing in all of this.
A small marijuana charge.
Yeah, yeah.
Which draws me, I'm sorry, hold your old thoughts, because this is one thing that drives me nuts. I used to prosecute, and I used to put one member of every family of the Tohono Nation in jail for marijuana transportation from the cartels to Casa Grande or Phoenix every week. Or, I mean, they were all the time for like 10 years. And most prosecutors, you just do your job. Somebody at the top is deciding what to focus on with the resources, and then the government decides what the laws are. So you just do your job. It's not, and the police officers mostly just do their jobs too. They would do prohibition against, Cracker Jack boxes if somebody told them to. Okay, so it's nothing. It's just you got to think the top matters. But what bothers me more is that your dad was an entrepreneur. And the way that a lot of these social justice things, social equity things are being written is that they're not taking into account the people who are running the biggest loads most efficiently were the best entrepreneurs, So it's like, it should start from the top. How big was your load? Because if you had a grand system, a grand scheme set up to bring marijuana from Mexico or California to Illinois or New York, the bigger the better. And if you did it really, really well, you're a good entrepreneur, you know how to put a business together, you should get a license, but it's not, it's your dad. I mean, I'm sorry what happened to you with your connection to marijuana, but there's all these individuals that are being left out. We met thousands of them during our social equity process, and you're like, what? This whole thing, reward the entrepreneurs. Whoever was trying to make money off of selling marijuana during that transaction, and I know your dad, there was a bunch of people there, so they couldn't have all been responsible, but they should be like the first person's awarded licenses. And that's a little twist that never made sense to me in all of this discussion.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that's a really good point to bring up, and it's worth lingering on for a second. I heard a lot of complaints during the social equity process from typically older white people about, why are we prioritizing giving licenses to people who have, family members that have committed crimes or committed crimes themselves? And the implication is, like, if you're someone who has been in trouble for possessing marijuana, you can't be a business person and smart enough to run a business. But I think that's a great point, and certainly that's false and just a reflection of the stigma that we've had for the last number of decades. But certainly there's plenty of people that have been in trouble that are quite smart, good business people.
Yeah. So what else can we do to help your dad's situation and help you along your journey?
Well, we're going to do a change.org page. Signatures will help. As you say, if we're doing everything we can in the courts, if we have to push politically, we will. The governor has the power to help. She can do a pardon if she did so choose, I believe. So the next thing in support, I would say, would be to hashtag free Robert Deals. Say his name, just bring in awareness. Just saying his name matters. People knowing that someone that needs help that for cannabis in our industry is a big help in and of itself.
So hashtag
free Robert Deals.
Free Robert Deals, just like that.
Yes.
And that's also a way to get in touch with you through the hashtag. People, isn't it connect? I'm not sure technology wise.
Yeah, we'll have all that together.
What's your email? So people, the best way to email you guys.
If you want the email.
Phone number. On your personal email.
You can email me directly. My email is dealsalicia@gmail.com.
Right. Well, I always give up my phone number. If anyone wants to call me, 520-909-4334. If this, but this is a great one. I would love to have a dialogue with the likes of Governor Hobbs, and she's supposed to be concerned about social justice, and this is an obvious case of you look at it. If it wasn't for the fruit poison tree, which we keep using incorrectly, the domino effect. There's like a theory or something, but there's some proper phrase for that. None of this would have happened, and now and what's wonderful is now you're going to have, as soon as your business starts going and stuff, you're going to have the resources to shake up the system.
Right.
Which is just really good. The lobbyists, and it's unfortunate reality we live in, although Normal does a great job lobbying on behalf of the people, it's all controlled by lobbyists and donations. That's the reality of how the system kind of works. I wish more people fought for the people, but Governor Hobbs is supposed to be fighting for the people. We'll see what she has to say about this.
Very much so.
And there are a lot of good legislators out there who don't just care about campaign contributions, and Alicia's been lucky enough to meet some of them, and they mention her to me quite often. So lots of supporters all over the place.
Yes.
I'm a little jaded at this point. I've seen too many things, but I know, there are people who believe and do the right thing, work hard on the right thing. So so people can reach out to you and contact you. And we should give Proven Media's phone number as well. What's your guys' phone number? 602-527-0794. If you want to, you can connect with them. That's Sadie at Proven Media, and reach out to them so that you can connect with Alicia and her team. And it's really sad that this is still occurring, and and I always reflect not just in the United States, but think about it globally.
Right.
Globally, the awakening has come. Marijuana is safer than alcohol.
Yes.
It is safer than alcohol, so it should be less regulated than alcohol, and that means nobody should be in jail for it globally. You consider? I mean, think poor what was the name of the girl from the
Grinder.
Yeah, Brittany. Yeah.
Yeah, Brittany had to do. Have you contacted Brittany about this?
No.
Probably could get in touch with her.
Right.
We should get Brittany involved. Yeah, because this would be a good case. It'd be interesting. But globally, I mean, in Russia, Indonesia, they put people to death for marijuana.
That's right. They just did a couple of weeks ago in Singapore.
Still,
Yeah, it still happens.
it's incredible.
Crazy.
Well, I look forward to seeing where your journey takes you and your organization and the work that you do. I think it's excellent that the state of Arizona put one of the social equity licenses in your hands, because you're going to be doing things to continue the fight forward. We don't need to get a big discussion about the whole program, but sometimes things work out for the best. But yeah, anything else, John?
No, I don't think so. I'm really happy to be here. It's been a privilege to know and do some work with Alicia, and I am just really happy looking across the table at both of you, and seeing that Arizona will have a minority-owned and operated business pursuant to the social equity program. I'm a big believer in affirmative action, and I feel good that there will be people growing up in Arizona that have real role models and can look at the world around them and see it's not only white people who make millions of dollars from selling marijuana, but you can do it too.
You want to give out Normal's contact info or your contact info?
Yeah, sure. I'll give out my email address. My email is jonu@arizonanormal.org.
Yeah, because people should. If you're not a part of Normal, you should definitely be part of Normal. They do a lot of good work. And go ahead.
Well, I was just going to thank you all. Both of you gentlemen do a lot. I thank you both. You all helped me through this process, knowingly or unknowingly. You guys are some of those role models, as you said, to look up to and see it in the industry, that everybody isn't out to get you. There are good people that do have good intentions and want to see the right thing for the community.
Any closing thoughts from you, Ethan?
Just want to say thank you for the opportunity, the platform. For brother Robert Deals, he said this will be over soon. Sweatless victories, rapid expansion, and we're going glory to glory. Thank you.
Well, let's get Berner in here to talk about this,
Soon,
and we can push the reach even further.
That was the reason why we thought being a part of the Cookie franchise can help us get Robert's story out.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we appreciate you. We appreciate you guys joining us, and appreciate you spending time and sharing your story here on Meat Unshackled. And we look forward to, well, unfortunately, if the post-conviction relief is when it's denied, let's circle back and then push harder. Does that work?
Absolutely.
We'll figure this out.
We'll make it.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.